Hello Karanjit,
Hello,
thank you for accepting to do that interview.
thank you to you also.
So first we will begin about your story, and I'm gonna ask you how did everything begin for you? What is the story that brings yoga into your life?
So I was practicing the dimensions of asana from my childhood, which I learned from my father. My brother was very much devoted to Shiva, so from there I learned Bhakti Yogi. Then for time being I was just involved into the physical dimension of yoga, and then after a certain age there was the desire start coming for the higher practices of yoga like meditation and the highest philosophical thoughts, the question about the life and the existence. Then I didn't find the answer of that anywhere, so that questions bring me to yoga, and then I start meditating, and then a lot of things start happening in the life, but nobody is able to answer all of that. And then I did the masters in the yogic science professionally, and then I moved to Himalayas, stayed there for a long time, and did my practices, and that's how the journey continues.
Okay, and so how did you went to teaching teaching yoga?
So because I get a lot of benefit from the practicing yoga, it gave me a lot of mental peace, happiness, and there are some health issues sometimes, so it can be resolved very much with yoga. So I seen a complete benefit of yoga. So then I did get desire to that this science should be reached to the people, to the world, for the welfare of the humanity, and everybody should get healthier and happier with practice of yoga.
So that would be the goal for your yoga?
Yes, that's what I'm looking now. Let this science reach to the every person and let them be more healthy and happy to the practice of yoga.
So yoga, the purpose of yoga would be to be more happy and healthy.
So there are a lot of dimensions. Like if you see in that dimension, it is working on that level. So what everybody is desiring for, and then the final is just knowing to your supreme self and merging your consciousness with the infinite consciousness. That is the final goal. We'll say in yoga it's called samadhi. So that is the final goal, but everybody is not looking for that in their life. So if they practice a little bit of yoga also, like they will be getting the lot of benefit to improve the quality of their life, and they can do great things in life with practice of yoga. They can achieve the highest heights in their career, manage their family well if they are practicing yoga.
So practicing yoga, we could say there is a yogic lifestyle. How would you define this yogic lifestyle?
So in the yogic lifestyle, as Krishna says, like you convert every action into yoga. It's not only like you are doing asana or pranayama, it is like the complete science of doing something. How you are sleeping, how you are having food, how you are behaving in the society, and how you are managing your day-to-day activities, how you are managing your relationships. So everything can be converted into yoga.
And so concretely, how can you say if someone is following a yogic lifestyle or not?
So it is like the balance in sleeping, right? Like what time you go to sleep, what you can. So it is like disciplined way of living. And to do anything in your life, you need a certain discipline, a code of conduct. So through that we are having yama and niyamas, the do's and do nots. Like that is very much base of yoga, like ethic and moral values. So if you are for yourself to let you having a better state of mind, and if you are for the society, because we are living in society, to bring a more balance in the society with practice of that. So it is a more holistic way of living.
Okay, and could you go into details with the benefits of a yogic lifestyle? So we talked about being and having like a healthy life. I would like to divide this question in three topics. First, there is the asanas. So, what are the benefits of asanas on the mind and the body? Because we know that physical practice can have an impact to deeper and in the mind.
For a beginner, we start with the asana. It is the foundation, and it is actually working on holistically on all the systems of the body. So we are having nervous system, endocrine system, respiratory system, digestive system, reproductive system, urinary system, and the cardiovascular system, lymphatic system, reproductive system, skeleton system, muscular. So the yoga is the only science available on this planet which is working on each system, each organ of your body, and improving the functioning of each organ. So when we are doing yoga asanas, so the deep accumulated emotion, the stress which is there, so it get released, the energy get released. So that is the physical benefit of the asana. And it goes very deeper, it working on energy, circulate the energy in a balanced way, in the nadis, in the energy channels, on the different energy centers called chakras, and then it is going to the level of the mind. Even somebody start yoga with the just asana, but they find a mental equilibrium and the peace even with the practice of asana. So it is more of the physical dimension, but the subtlest part go towards the consciousness.
Could you explain, like on a scientific level, how practicing asana, so asana is the position of yoga, will impact our mind? Because you talked about the prana. Prana is breathing, or in a common word that can be understand. So how making, like, for example, let's take an example that is very known, Warrior One, as an asana, will have an impact in our body. Could you explain?
So the warrior one is like, because it shows like, the name itself shows a warrior, so it is like the people who are having lack of confidence and lack of courage. So it is just building that up, and it is little bit more, I will say, opening up asana. So there your all the upper body is extended and you are grounded with the thighs. So it is help you to get good thigh muscles and good extension of the spine. And it is like an active pose which is working on the sympathetic nervous system. It increases the functioning of your body well, and it is working on the hips, and mostly all the standing postures we do, they are working on the lower chakras, lower energy centers, I will say, like especially the Muladhara and Swadhisthana chakra, from where we are supposed to raise our energy up. So that is why we are giving a huge importance to the standing sequences of asanas, especially the Trikonasana and the warrior series.
Would be helpful to be central in your life?
Yes. So we are having a lot of fears in our mind. So even you just practicing Virabhadrasana 1, 2 or 3, so you will feel courage is coming from your inside. You get a certain level of confidence from inside. So all of us, like certain time in our life, will suffer from an inferiority complex or a lack of confidence. So through this practice of that, because if you see like what is the position of our body, like if we are lack of confidence and we are having fear, so it tends to our shoulder, we hunch our back, so it shows we are like having lack of confidence. When you open the chest, you sit straight or you stand tall, so it shows a different level of the confidence and the removal of the fear from your subconscious and unconscious mind.
So having a position will impact our brain and going to send like messages saying now you're more confident. Can we say that like?
Yes. Now I will say to you more in deeper sense. Each human being is having, I will say, a different body language, and every emotion reflects a different gesture. Right? When you are calm, the body. That's why, like, there are people who are studying the body language. If I will say, we are very much connected physically, energetically, and emotionally. So what you are feeling in your subtle body, in your mind, in your emotion, that reflect into the body. If you hold on to a certain emotion, certain thought for a long time, so that will be start influencing your posture and gesture. And once you change your gesture, so indirectly you are impacting on that emotion, and you can transform that through the practice of asanas. So we say in yoga is called the psychic knot. So for the modern science, we'll say like all the emotions and thoughts we collect in the brain, we store in the brain. But as a yogic point of view, we'll store everything on the different energy centers, the chakras, and the muscles of the body. So suppose like somebody is having a lot of fear, so they always having a raised up and tense shoulder. So depending on that, so different people who go through a different kind of a trauma and emotion, so they get spasm and the stiffness in a particular muscle because of that psychic knot. And once like you are stretching, you are opening up, slowly those pent up emotions inside get released, and that's how a deeper level of the purification is happening with the practice of yoga.
Okay, thank you. And we say that we have been teaching that asanas help you and prepare you to go into meditation to calm your mind. Can you explain what is the practice of meditation?
So the first beginning of the meditation happen is with the understanding of your mind. Yes, how your mind is functioning, how it is connecting to the different subjects, and how the thoughts are coming, from where the thoughts are coming. That is the basis of yoga. And after understanding the mind, and then the meditation is the process to transcend the mind, to go beyond the mind, to reach the level of the intellect, so which is called the buddhi and the higher mind. And then also we are trying to go beyond that and trying to settle in our own consciousness. So most of time we will identify ourselves with the body-mind complex. Your mind says this is you, this is your responsibilities, and there is a mental picture of you for your own self, which is bringing a lot of conflicts for yourself, which is not let you have a peace of the mind and a stressful life. And with the practice of meditation, you can realize you are that eternal self, right? You are something much more beyond that physical body, emotion, and the mind. And then you can bring a more harmony in your life after practicing meditation.
So you would say that the benefit of meditation is to have like an harmonious life and
Yes.
being able to be the observer of your own self.
Yes, you can be observer of your own self, and you can come out from the situations of the life, and you can resolve the every problem of your life better if you practice meditation. It's not only about the spirituality, it is about the family life, your professional life, because the mind is the center of your existence. If your mind is not working properly, is not in a good health or in a good state, so it's impacting our life in many ways. So through the practice of meditation, there are two dimensions of our mind. One is called the concentration abilities. So many people also are lacking into that concentration abilities. So the yoga will, with the practice of meditation, you will have a better focusing power and the concentration power. And the second thing is the calm down and silencing of the mind. That is also we need. A lot of time we want to be peaceful, we want to go to sleep, but our mind is so restless, we don't allow to have a quality of life. So it is just training your mind in both the dimension. If you want to do something very faster and achieve something very great in your life, so you can use that mind. At the same time, when you want to be with yourself, want to be into peace, then you can also learn to how to silence and calm down the mind, and that is the whole purpose of the practicing meditation.
And can you explain the link between the prana and the meditation, how it is, how making space in our body through the asanas is going to allow the prana to circulate, so it will help having a better meditation, how there is a connection in between?
So we exist in the layers, understand, one after another. The first body we are seeing is the physical body called Annamaya Kosha. So it is the gross body, you can feel that, you can touch it. The second body is called a life force, called a bioelectrical energy. There are different prana vayus we are having on different location. That life force do the different functions.
Can you explain what is prana vayus?
So the prana vayu is like the different form of prana, like we on different location. It is a kind of prana, but on different location it is doing a different functions. Like we are having the 5 prana vayus, like apana, which function is excretion of the waste from the body, like the urination, passing the stool, the menstrual discharge, the sexual discharge, what we do. So if that vayu get disturbed, so the person will be having the complications in the lower abdomen. Like it can be a diarrhea, it can be a constipation, it can be menstrual disorders, it can be a miscarriage. So all that problems are created with the apana vayu. Then we are having higher up, and from the navel to the diaphragm is a saman vayu, which is responsible for digestive activity. If it is not stronger, it is not balanced, so you are having indigestion, gas problem. If it is too much active, it can cause ulcer, peptic ulcer, and acidity, acid reflux. All that complications are done with the saman vayu. Then we are having prana vayu from the diaphragm to the throat area. Its function is the power of intake. We are breathing in and out, which is because of this vayu, your respiratory system, your cardiovascular system, your lymphatic system, your thymus, which is responsible for your immunity. If your prana vayu is disturbed, your circulatory system, your respiratory system, your lymphatic system is influenced, and because of that you are having a very poor immunity. You can get infected very easily with the diseases. Another vayu called udan vayu, which is present in the head area. So it is like the most important vayu, because through that you perceive everything, you control everything. Your nervous system and your endocrine system is controlled by that udana vayu. So if it is get aggravated, is not balanced, so it can cause all the neurological disorders, all the endocrine disorders, like the migraine, headache are the most common one. And then the 5th vayu is present all over the body, is called the vana vayu. Its function is circulation of the nutrients, expel of the waste outside from the body, as well as it is a supportive vayu for all the vayus to do their functions properly. And in today's world, like we are too much doing the mental work, do very less physical work, so because of that, all of the vayu get disturbed in the body and they collected in the head area. And because of that, it is causing a psychological problems more. You are more restless, you are more anger, there is a frustration inside, and also some kind of a neurological disorders, like I will say Alzheimer's disease, a stroke, or a Parkinson, or it can lead to even, I will say, the migraine and headache is very much common symptoms of that imbalance of the vayus in the body.
So, to avoid to have block in those different values, the practice of pranayama helps, right?
Yeah, we are having vibhagya pranayama, sectional breathing. In that we are doing abdominal breathing, thoracic breathing, and chest breathing. And there are a lot of other breathing practices are there. So when we practice that, so it helps us to balance all these vayus. And especially like the practice of asana, like you are doing sun salutation, you are doing sitting, supine, prone, all that kind of postures when you do, it balances the prana, it circulates the prana in a body in a balanced way. When the prana gets balanced all over the body, so then you will be having a good healthy body. Because when the prana start going to one organ more, right, so then that it lead to over functioning of that particular organ.
When you say the prana is going to one organ, can you explain what is the prana? How can we understand it in a way that is really clear?
So it can say like you can not see the electricity, right, but you can feel the electricity. So it is the life force, I will say, the physical dimension of that is breath. But if you see, like, it is present in each aspect of the universe. If I will say the atom, in the atom there are electrons. They are moving with a tremendous speed around its nucleus, so that they are moving with the force of prana. So when you are suppose eating the food, you are getting that universal pranic energy into your body, and we are getting approximately 25% energy from the food, and the 75% we are absorbed from the universe. And mostly we observe that energy into ourselves while we sleep. But when we do the yogic practices like the meditation, so the amount of energy what you absorb from the universe is very much high. Like that's why I will say, if you meditate deeply for 20 minutes, it is equal to sleeping equal to 8 hours. That's why when you practice meditation, your dependence on the sleep becomes less. Like the yogis sleep maybe 3 and 4 hours maximum, and they are very much more productive than the common man who's sleeping 8 to 10 hours. And then you can do a good things, better things for yourself in the life as well as for the society with that higher energy what you absorb from the universe with the practice of pranayama and practice of meditation.
So would you say that to meditate you need to practice pranayama to unlock the block and then be able to make the prana
Yes.
moving?
For a beginner who is beginner into yoga, it is always very difficult to control the mind directly. So that's why we are taking the asana as a tool to control the mind through the different body gestures, and also with the breathing we are controlling the mind. So if you are just doing a breathing exercise, so that is not pranayama. The pranayama is when you are aware about the breath, when you are conscious about your breath, and you are controlling the breath, and through the controlling of the breath you are controlling the mind. And if you find like in the different state of the mind, if you are worried, if you are anxious, you are calm, you are happy, you are like the psychological body impact your energy body always. So they are very much interconnected. Sometimes we cannot control our emotions, but if you control your breath, you can get indirect control over your emotions, because the origin of the prana and the mind is the same. If you touch one, the another one will be also touched in a negative or a positive.
Can we go a bit deeper in the relation between emotion and pranayama and prana or breathing? Like when we are anxious or when we are being stressed, the first thing that can change into our body, so the emotion will impact our body and our breath. So can you explain the relation and how by not being the one being controlled by the emotion, but being able to control your breath will help you being in control of your emotion?
So if you are stressed out, right, so there is a fear in your mind. To fight with the fear, like the sympathetic nervous system will get active in your body. So then there are respiratory center which will increase the rate of the contraction of the muscle, the respiratory muscles, which is leading to the higher breathing rate. And the small and the shallow and the fast breathing will start happening. So on the other side, when you are completely relaxed and calm, your breath become more deeper, it slow down. So that is the core principle of yoga therapy, to slow down the breath, deepen the breath, and through that, and then the next dimension is to calm down the mind into that. And the emotions are when the people will remain in the fear for a long time, and somebody is very much angry, so the first thing is the breath is impacted. Because to do everything in your life, you need a certain kind of energy, and that energy we are getting primarily from the breath. So that's why, like if you just start climbing the stairs, there is a deficiency of the brain, of the oxygen happening in your brain, and because of that, you start increasing your breathing rate, it start increasing your respiratory rate, and with that, the cardiovascular, the heart start pumping more blood, more faster. So suppose you went to sleep and you get a very scary dream. So that everything is happening not actually, but it's happening in your, I will say, in your mind, but it also impact your body. So whatever the thoughts, the emotions you are carrying, the subtle effect goes to the breath, and then the gross effect go to, I will say, to the physical body. That's why we'll start sweating, we start breathing faster, our heart rate is very much higher when we see the scary dreams. So that's why like we are giving a lot of importance to the visualization in yoga, what you are seeing, what you are thinking. So everything is impacting your everything. Means everything is the mind is the center of your body. So if anything is happening in the mind, is impact your breath, is impact your physical body, is impact your intellect, your higher mind, and it also impact your consciousness. Right? If your mind is silent, you are having a peace and the happiness at the level of the soul and the consciousness. If your mind is disturbed, your intellect is not functioning properly. You have no more confusion, a lot of conflicts with yourself, with the society. And it's like the man is the center, and that's why when the Patanjali explain about yoga, is talk about the controlling of the mind.
So your purpose of yoga would be controlling the mind?
Sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. Okay, going back. So the goal of yoga would be controlling the mind.
The final goal of yoga is the controlling the mind and transcending the mind and go beyond the mind.
And so in our society in Europe, a lot of people are facing stress and anxiety. How could you like give some advice for them to take care of these emotions?
So the yoga, the basic question should be asked like, why you are stressed? So until like you will get a clear picture about your own self, understand? We are living in a false world, but it is created by our own self and also with the society. You don't have the knowledge about your true self, who is your true being, and because of that, all the conflicts are happening. We are living in all kind of a fear and the anxiety and the phobias. Understand? We always remain in the level of insecurity because we are identifying ourselves with this body and mind complex. With the practice of yoga, you are going very much deeper into yourself, and you know you are something much more beyond than that. You are not just a physical body or the mind or emotion. You are that eternal self with the practice of higher practice of meditation, the philosophy. So then it will make a notional corrections. If you'll find like the people who are very intellectual, they don't get disturbed by the circumstances. So then you can know what is eternal, what is not eternal, what is permanent, what is not permanent. So most of time it happens, people get worried about a very small things which is not going to last for a long time in their life, which is bring a huge amount of insecurity and anxiety inside. So with the practice of yoga, you will become more intellectual person. Understand? You are having more willpower. You are having more intuition abilities. So we are having around the 60 dimension of our mind. So only in the certain dimensions we trained in the modern education. But with the practice of the systematic yoga, we train into that all the 16 dimensions of the mind, of our the deepest self, and through that you can able to manage everything in your life. The stress can be controlled, the fears can be eradicated with the practice of yoga. So it is a very deep science. But mostly the people are identifying a yoga as a physical posture. So it is, yes, one dimension of yoga, but for every level we are having different set of practices. And so we have to practice yoga in a more holistic way, so that it improve our quality of life. And to manage stress, so we are having a very good practice called avartan dhyana, a cyclic meditation, which is working very well, very much well into the management of the stress.
Do you experiment it? Like how in your life you could like give us an example of how you were facing stress and you could like manage it through yoga?
So the main stress is come from your inside. Your oversensitivity, if you are oversensitive, you are a highly egoistic person, you will be having a more suffering and pain in your life because of the sensitivity of the mind and the higher ego. And with that, if you connect to that, your ambitions, your goals, your desires, so that also bringing the huge amount of stress in your life. I'm not saying like you shouldn't achieve a great height in your career, in the society, in the materialistic world. You can do it, right? But you have to contemplate on that, right? We are getting thousands of desires every day. So the yoga is talking about the intellectual selection of the desire, which will bring you more happiness, which is bring you more peace of mind, which is bring you more health to you, to society, to the family. So you contemplate and you nourish those thoughts. And then you can manage the stress, because ultimately the yoga defines the stress as the speed of the mind. So it is the uncontrolled flow of thoughts and emotions. And when I say the yoga is chitta vritti nirodha, it is the controlling and the gaining mastery over the mind and emotions. So with the practice of yoga in the deeper level, you can able to control your mind waves, and that you are always in the peace. The second stress is from the society, what your family, what your country, your current situation in the country is giving to you. So that stress will be not remain forever. Understand? The main conflict which are arising from inside, and even you train yourself with the practice of yoga, even into the most panic situation, people get panic, you can be still calm and peaceful and relaxed. That's what yoga teaches to you. Even nothing is happening good in the materialistic life of you, but you can still be peaceful. Understand? Yoga gives you that much freedom to react.
And you, now that you practice in a yogic lifestyle, you never get empowered by your emotion. You always stay calm. There is never one moment or sometime, okay, I'm hungry, you're hungry, and you just snap and something happens.
So it is like, I will say, everybody is having emotion, it is a part of the human being. So now it is more awareness is there about emotions, and so then there will be intellectual control of the emotions. Understand? You can tell your higher mind, and it is guiding the lower mind, the emotional mind, or like the chitta. So then you can use the emotion in the right way. Understand? So you will use emotion in a more productive way for yourself and for society. Suppose anger is a very good emotion. It is a very huge and strong energy. Right? So if you use in a certain way, it can bring good things in your life. But we always take emotions, like their negative emotion in a negative way. So now I will say I can able to transfer my emotions in into the more higher and the positive emotions, because always we try to suppress our emotions and you cannot suppress the energy and the emotion. But with the practice of yoga, with the higher practices, so we are having special techniques in yoga, like mastery over the emotion technique is called Bhava Shuddhi and Bhav Sadhana. With these higher practices, you can learn to how you can convert the emotion into the positive emotion.
What are those practices?
So that are a very high contemplative practices, and we are evoking certain emotions inside, like getting angry, a more fearful thing, you are getting fear about it, and you're just being witnessing to that. And then you are getting, mostly we are getting impacted by the pairs of opposite, like when you get your desired subject or a thing, you feel happy, you will feel excited. When the things are not happening good as per your expectation, you don't like to have these things in your life. Because of that, you will be stressed, you will be having sadness, grief, guilt inside. So that's how we are impacted always, which is happening in our life. If you are bonding with likes and dislikes too much, then it impacts your emotions. But here we are keep raising a different emotions by our own self. We are creating the emotion and we are witnessing the emotion and then dissolve the emotion. And then we understand we can control the emotion and we are much more beyond that than emotions. And you get witnessing to the emotion, understand?
So it would be like the key would be to be aware of our emotion, to be
Yes.
emotional.
The first transformation happened with the awareness and the acceptance. Many people knows like I have this emotional problem, I have this psychological problem, but they don't accept from their inner consciousness. So the yoga says like you should have it aware about thing which is happening good, which is happening bad, and you accept them, and then you can able to transform them in a good way, in a more productive way.
Going further into that, like our thought create our emotion, and during one of our class you said that most of our disease come from the mind. Can you go explain a bit more about it, how our disease, physical disease, can come from our mind?
So in yoga, the diseases are classified into two categories, called Adija Vyadhi, called stress-borne diseases. So in that comes the hypertension, diabetes, constipation, and the back pain, and the certain kind of a hormonal problem. So majorly the stress is like when your body is get very in an active form, understand, where all the internal organs of your body are working on the optimal level. And because of that, if that state will remain for a longer period of time, and that is lead to a disease. So then it will make a vicious circle inside. Suppose when you are stressed, there is a stress hormone released in your body. When that released, so they are impacting your nervous system. They will make you more anxious. They make you more nervous. They will make respiratory function change and then cardiovascular function change. So it will be very difficult for you to come out from that situation in that case. Now with the practice of yoga, I said the yoga is the science to calm down the mind. When you reduce the speed at the level of the mind, then with this practice, you can able to manage stress. So through that, all that stress-borne diseases can be eradicated. The second classification of disease is called non-stress-borne diseases. So their cause is outside. Maybe some accident happened, some chemical, some germ, some bacteria, certain kind of a toxic food you had it. So for that, the medication lies outside, like you have to go to the emergency service, take that call. And after that, with practice of yoga, like you are having better immunity and resistance, like even there are germs and bacteria around you and infected by them, but you heal yourself quickly and faster than other people.
How so? How do we have a better immunity by practicing yoga?
So because with the yogic relaxation techniques, we increase our parasympathetic activity. When your parasympathetic nervous system is active, so it strengthens immunity, it increases the healing power of you from your inner side. So there will be more harmony at the deeper level of the cells inside you. They get a deep rest also, and then they can function well in your body.
So on a more holistic level, earlier you talked about energy. Can you explain how energy works and how it is important regarding yoga lifestyle?
So to do everything in the life, we need energy. So you are perceiving everything through your five senses is because of energy. All the organs, everything is functioning in your body is because of that pranic force, that life force. And it also is the control mechanism, how from your mind and then action is happening on a different level. Maybe you experience when you are stressed out, when you are going through some very emotional challenging situation of your life, you get tired very soon, very faster. Because in that state, you are consuming the energy more than your normal state. So in the yogic lifestyle, we are talking about the conservation of energy, right? We are wasting our energy into many ways, and which is not bring us more productivity in the life. It can be a materialistic life, it can be a spiritual life both. And then yoga is talking about the conservation of energy into many ways. Then it is talking about how we can enhance that energy. So with regular practice of yoga, we can be able to absorb more universe and the cosmic energy. And when we absorb that higher cosmic energy into our own self, and that's what we can say, like you can maintain energy throughout your life. You can do that any action with that energy. Understand?
So you say that first we can conserve, the purpose is to keep the energy and then to increase. Could you give some example so we can know how we can conserve and how we can increase?
So mostly we are using our energy is drained because of the mind, the overthinking, oversensitivity, emotions. So there are certain emotions which is dragging your energy. If I will say the hate, jealousy, a kind of a revenge, a kind of a guilt, a sadness. So these are the negative emotions. If you are holding these emotions, it will bring your energy level very much down. You will feel drained. So there is a lot of positive emotions are there. I will say laugh, I will say love, and the calmness and the happiness. So these are the positive emotions. When you are cultivating these emotions, so then your energy level is very much higher. So that's what the yoga is saying to you. Through the controlling of the emotion, we can control our energy and we can maintain our energy. And we are also using that energy with the physical activities. Especially when we travel, when we do a certain kind of exertion activities. So we feel drained out and then we want to go for sleep because mostly we get energy from that sleep. So with the practice of yoga, I will say the amount of energy you are absorbed from the cosmos in 8 to 10 hours, that you can absorb in 2 to 3 or 4 hours. Right? It increases the capability of your absorption of the cosmic energy.
What do you mean when you say you absorb energy from the from the cosmic world?
So, in yoga, we'll say there is a cosmic prana and there is an individual prana. So, we always absorb that cosmic energy through our central channel called Brahmarandhara, called Shushumna Nadi, the central channel, and then it is circulating all over the body. If that energy channel is blocked somewhere through which you are absorbing the energy, you cannot receive the higher amount of the energy from the cosmos. And once that energy channel is clean, right, the path is clean, then a more energy can enter in yourself. And with that energy, you can, I will say, increase the productivity of your brain. Now we are just using maybe 5 to 10% of our brain capability, but with the practice of yogic techniques, you can awaken your 100% of the brain. And that's how, like, you can reach to the animal state, right, to the normal human being, then to the divine human being, and to the super conscious human being. And then it will give you so much more power to your mind to contemplate and to your intellect. You will become more intellectual person if you are having the higher energy. So this energy is always functioning together. I said prana shakti and chitta shakti. The chitta shakti is the power of the mind, the energy of the mind, and prana shakti is the, I will say, a bioelectrical energy, so that both are functioning together. If I will compare to you, like you are having a cell phone, so if your battery is drained, no software can function in your mobile. So the software also can influence your energy, like there is a power saving mode, right? So like that, so there are different activities where through that you can conserve the energy, with that you can expand the energy, and you can channelize the energy. So that is a deeper dimension of the pranayama and pranamaya kosha, and there are a lot of energy techniques are there into tradition of yoga. Just you are working with your energy, and a lot of time it happens. Different people are carrying, different places are carrying a different kind of energy, and we get negatively impacted by those energies very easily. But with the practice of yoga, you are having very strong aura, the field of energy around you, and it will help you to be into the place but not infected by the negative vibes and negative energies of the people and in the place.
So there is practice that we can do individually to conserve and increase our energy. To do so, you talked about pranayama, so I guess going back to what we talked about, pranayama exercise, asanas exercise can help us increase and conserve this energy. So that's the thing that we can do on our level, but also environment impacts our energy, right? And as you said, there is some activities that are going to drain our energy, but also people can drain our energy. How can we relate with people when they're going to drain our energy? How can we protect ourselves?
So there is a certain techniques in yoga, like where you can lock your energy, right? And once you lock that energy, so you cannot share your energy with anybody, right? And anybody cannot impact with their energy to you. Like that's what we are. The very minor dimension, I will say, people are using in the Reiki, in the pranic healing. We are healing with our energy to other. So it is a very small dimension of that. But in the higher dimension of yoga, like we can heal ourselves, we can heal anybody with our energies, and that's why these techniques are very sacred and secret. Many times the student also, the people can also use that in a negative way to impact somebody's life. So that's why we kept it secret until we know this person is right, is righteous, is getting a good state of emotions in mind, and then only reveal that technique to the individual students.
Okay. So you need to be sure of the person before you feel like the practice that you can do.
Yes, we have to be, there is a certain eligibility criteria into every yogic practice. If the teacher feels, yes, this student is eligible, only then we share those techniques with the person, so that if we are sure, like, he will utilize this for his benefit, for his family welfare, for the welfare of the whole humanity, then only we will teach those techniques to the most qualified and the good students.
What could you share today? Today, what are you capable of sharing on those practices? Because I mean, a lot of people are going to listen, and I understand that you cannot share a lot, but what could you say so we can have a better image of those practices?
So in that, just it is like the most beautiful thing is just having a good thoughts, noble thoughts for welfare of everybody, and carrying a good emotions. And if you just take care of these two things, and then it impact your energies very much. And having faith in your own self, develop a certain level of the confidence, and it will help you to, I will say, stronger your energy in like indirect, and do the regular breathing practices, do the regular pranayama practices, regular asana practices, sleeping on time, taking a good diet and nutrition. So everything contribute to your energy.
Following a yogic lifestyle.
Yes, so it is like you have to practice yoga in a most holistic and in every dimension to be more good to yourself and good for society.
What would you say to people that are kind of skeptical about energy and say that it's like magic? How would you explain them in a way that it can make more sense?
So I will say, like, the people who didn't understand the prana and energy, they will say it is a supernatural power. And everybody in the nature is gifted with that. If you see, every creature is surviving on energy. Like when you see, like if you are fearful from your inside, the animals can feel that vibes. Right? If you are calm and you are having a lot of love inside you, the animals can feel your vibes. They can feel your aura, they can feel your energy. And that is why like the yoga is working on that deeper dimension of you. So when you are very much pure from your inside, then everything is happening good in your life. If you are having the presumption, you are having a lot of fears, and you are not nice from inside, then also the nice thing will not happen to your inner life. So the yoga is always believed to be just good to yourself, do good, think good, and do good to the society.
How can you do the difference between being confident and having ego, a lot of ego? Because sometimes it is very thin to be able to be okay with your confidence but not going in the wrong side and being too much.
So in between the ego and the confidence, I will say a very minute difference is there. And the ego, what I want to say is, it is the more feeling of the I-ness. Right? I am superior than you, I am much more richer than you, I am more knowledgeable than you. So if you are carrying these kind of thoughts, there are the egoistic thoughts. Right? In the confidence, you will say just I am existing, understand? And I am there, and that's it. You are not identifying yourself with anything. Understand? So that's what, like I will say, a self-confidence. You're just having the awareness of your existence. And you are prepared from your inner side for each circumstances of your life, to face all the problems of your life, to overcome all the difficulties of your life with your emotional and intellectual capabilities, with your physical abilities. That I will say confidence. Understand? But if you will having pride of that, what you can be capable of, that is the ego.
How can we practice to gain confidence into yogic lifestyle?
It just comes when you start practicing yoga and when you start understanding you completely in depth, then because yoga will open up the dimension in yourself, like your most, I will say, the hidden potential and capabilities will be explored to you, which you are not aware about here in your life. And once you know to that and you knows the technique to enhance them, and that will bring a greater amount of the confidence in your life to face everything and can do everything in your life.
Now, I wanted to ask you kind of advices for people that are listening to us. And the first day I arrived in India, someone told me that there is something that is said, like it is said that we have a number of breaths allocated, either we spend it quickly or long, depending how we choose to live our life. How would you advise to make this breath last a longer period of time? You didn't get it? Okay. So it is said that we have a number of breaths allocated during all of our life. Either we choose to spend it quickly, so to have like quick breaths, or we choose to have like longer breath, depending how we live our life, depending on lifestyle. So what would you advise to be able to choose to have like long breath and then quick?
So just being conscious about your breathing, right? So it is clearly mentioned we are gifted with a certain kind of a certain number of breaths, and it is very scientific also, because like if you are breathing so much, so then you are consuming a lot of oxygen in the body, which is in one level is good. If you are breathing more, so because of that you are getting a more oxygen, because of that cells of your body are more working, right? So it is increasing the metabolism, and which is bringing the aging. So if you can slow down your breathing, so you are just taking the oxygen how much is required for your body to just keep it healthy and in more harmony. And in that dimension, I will say the yogic practices will help you to balance your energy. When you are doing some activity, you can increase your breathing rate, but when you are not doing any particular activity, like you are not doing swimming or running, at that time you can just calm down yourself and just can have a good, slow and deep breath. And with just changing the breath, the quality of the mind, the quality of life can be changed.
And for someone that is not used to practice pranayama, what would you advise them to do?
Just first thing is they have to be aware about their breathing. Understand? And then the second dimension is the controlled breathing. When they have to breathe, they have to do the voluntary breathing. They have to breathe deeply, breathe out deeply, consciously. And with doing that, the third dimension comes is breath with the feeling. Understand? You are feeling like with the ingoing breath, you are absorbing all the positive energy of the universe into you. When you are breathing out, you are just releasing all of your toxins, your anxieties and your worries, and your negative emotions are going out. You are feeling more relaxed with the breathing out. So in this way, we are using the breath. In yogic techniques, like we are using the breath a lot with the visualization, with the mantras, so it will make it more powerful. But for just the common people, just slow down your breathing, deepen your breathing, and it change your life.
So that's going to help to manage stress.
Yes.
And going further into the advice section, what someone can practice to begin so they can feel the benefits of the practice? With what can they begin?
So the first thing comes is right assessment. Like when you start practicing yoga, you should go to a qualified teacher. They will assess you, they will observe you, they will see the physical condition you are going through, they will see the psychological condition you are going through, and they will see your constitution. So the yoga is very individual practice, depending on your gender, your health conditions and your profession. Everything have to be considered before somebody start teaching you yoga. And then it will become more productivity in that dimension of your life. Otherwise, sometimes the student practice yoga and they practice something wrong because of that. The complication and the problems start coming. So the right assessment, so where you are now, that have to be known, and where you want to be, that have to be also known, and then the teacher can direct you into that dimension.
How can you know? How can you choose a good teacher?
So now it is like a little bit difficult to know the teacher. The first thing is like the qualification, like what the yogic qualification the person is having. So if he done graduation, a post-graduation, or the doctorate into yoga, that is one dimension, like the education qualification in today's dimension. And the second dimension comes is what lineage, what tradition he is into, and what he is practicing in his daily life. So I will say the females are having very much intuitive power, right? They just feel the person, they can feel the vibes of a person, and you can feel the energy of the person. So like that, when you meet a good yoga practitioner, a yogi, like with his presence, you will feel more calm, you feel more relaxed, you feel more happy, right? And that is the dimension you can feel like, yes, he's a nice yoga teacher, right? If you are just being with a person, a yoga teacher, you will feel anxious, you will feel stressed out, you start getting angry, understand? Means he's practicing yoga in a certain dimension, but he's not practicing yoga holistically. So you have to see into the teacher's life, what he is doing into his personal life, and through that you can get an insight how nice teacher he is. And then surely like he should having a very good scientific modern knowledge, like the human anatomy, the biomechanics, the kinesiology, the modern psychology, right? The yoga teacher need that also in the today's world, and with the tradition, how much it is he is connecting with or she is connecting with the ancient lineage, what tradition he belongs, and how much the scriptural knowledge, how many scripture he studied Patanjali Yoga Sutras or Bhagavad Gita or some other ancient text he's studied it, and then you can know like if he knows like the best of the ancient wisdom and the modern science as well, so then you can say that yes, he's a good yoga teacher. So everything is in the process, understand? So all of us are in the evolution towards the perfection, so it takes time to be a yoga teacher. It is a lifetime journey to be a yogi, and when you teach yoga to somebody is again a more, I will say, advanced form of that.
Okay. And regarding the yogic lifestyle, so you talked about the fact that it is a self-practice, right, an individual practice, and that you can go to see a teacher to help you to go into it, but you need to be disciplined, and you need to have a daily routine. So regarding that, I have two questions. First, what little thing we can put into our daily routine to be more health and having really bit of a yogic lifestyle? And the second thing is, how can we find the strength to be disciplined enough to go into self-practice?
So a lot of time it happens like when we are living in the very materialistic world and very sedentary lifestyle, we are asking the reasons like I don't have time. That is the biggest excuse I get from the people and my students. So I'm not getting time to practice yoga. And I always tell to my students, you always ask the reason to make the things more beautiful, more better, more good. Understand? You are asking the reasons to make the things worse in your life. It can be a relationship, it can be a piece of work, or it can be your health. So if I will ask somebody why you are smoking, he will say, you don't know how much stressed I am. Understand? So it is just like how you look at the world. It is how you think in yourself. And then you can channelize your mind. First thing is you have to train your mind to do yoga. You have to ask yourself why I need to do it, why I am supposed to do it, what I am going to get out of it. And many people don't believe into the practice of yoga. Understand? So we are free to believe certain things and we don't believe in certain things. So we achieve something in our life because we believed in something. We don't grow in certain dimension of our life because we reject something in our life. We don't get the confidence or the I will say the information or like the intellectual conclusion to do it. Right? So you have to listen to yourself and you have to contemplate on every level. If you are doing something, it's not only about yoga, so why am I supposed to do this? What I am going to get out of it? Then if you ask the reason for everything what you are doing in your life, right, what I am going to get out of it, my society, my family, then you always will do the good things. And once you ask why I want to do yoga, why I have to do yoga, when you find the answer of that, the yoga will enter your life. And you can start with any practice you like to do. If you like asana, if you like breathing, if you like meditation, you like chanting, you like to study the scriptures. So you can start in any way, whichever is you feel more calm and peaceful about it, and then you slowly start bringing the other aspects of yoga into your daily life.
Thank you. I was very concentrated with what you were saying. So yeah, now I wanted to ask you, what is your practice? How do you practice yoga? And what have you gained with yoga?
So with the practice of yoga, I'm more calm and happy from inside. So I can able to be more productive for my own self. I can do good things in my life and as well also into the people's life. Understand? I can help somebody, I can guide somebody to having a more peaceful and happy mind, and I am touching the life of a people in a good way with the practice of yoga. And also my practice continues. So I'm practicing yoga in the most holistic way, like on all the dimensions. Right? And the most important practice is, like I will say, the centered and the calm. So you do everything, and if you are not carrying a good state of mind and emotion inside, is impacting your life in a negative way. So every time you cannot be on the mat, understand? But try to convert every action into yoga. That's what I'm trying to do.
Would you say that you're happy?
Yes, I'm much more healthier and happier and more peaceful with the practice of yoga in my life.
And now I'm gonna ask you if you wanted to add some input or element to our manifestation elements that you would like to share to people if there is something regarding yoga?
Just, I want to say to you, like, it is a great science. Right? It is not a creation of the human mind. And so, whatever is created by the human mind in the last, after a certain time, it gets impure and the complications start coming out of it. It can be any philosophy of the world, any kind of a, I will say, the mindset of the people. But the yoga is created by a creator and it's perceived by the yogis. So it does not belong to any particular sect of the people or a particular group of people. So the creator made it for the whole the creation, for every being. Understand? So we should open up our heart and the mind. If you are practicing anything in your life, understand, it impacts your life in a certain way. So just open up yourself from your inner consciousness and start practicing yoga, and you can see the changes happening from the first day in your life. And the visible changes can be seen in the practice of 3 to 6 months, and that will become the foundation for you. Then you get a confidence into yoga. Yes, yoga can change the life, it can change your being, and it can transform you completely. And we are having the many dimensions of our personality. Then certain yogic practices, you have practiced yoga in a holistic way, so they will help you to grow your personality into every dimension of your life. So just I'm saying to everybody, open up your heart and the mind for the science of yoga. Practice it with a dedication, with a faith in yourself, in your practice, and just nourish that like the seed which is existing in each soul. And when you nourish it with your practice, with your contemplation, then that tree will grow and give the fruits to you and then to the society. And there is, if you can bring the complete health and peace in the world, that is only through the yogic practices and the yoga way of living.
It is beautiful. I had this question, but with what you said, it's going at a beautiful way of ending it, but I still want to ask it. To conclude every of my interviews, I'm asking if you would share a mantra that is important to you. I don't know if it's like a sentence that you create for you, or a mantra, or it could be like a sutra that you would want to share.
So just try to convert every action into yoga. And whenever you're doing anything, just trying to do with a calm, with a happy, with a peaceful mind. That is the essence of all the yogic practices, and carrying a love and compassion for every being on this planet. And that is the highest teaching of yoga. And seeing that divinity into each aspect of your life and each being on this planet is the highest teaching of yoga. And it is difficult to practice sometimes, but we should supposed to continue this practice, and only through this way you can grow yourself and grow the world.
Any recommendation of books or texts for people that want to go further into yoga science?
So there are a lot of beautiful books on yoga. So before you studying the book, like, you have to see the authenticity, like from where you're supposed to start. So I'm very thankful to the Western world because with the advancement of the science, like the human anatomy, physiology, the biomechanics, the kinesiology, the modern scientific research, so they've given a great contribution to the yoga community, and with this everything, the yoga can be more efficient and more productive for everybody. So for a beginner, you should know like how your bodies function. You can start with a basic human anatomy and physiology book, and also you have to study like the ancient books like Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Bhagavad Gita, Hatha Pradipika, Hatha Ratnavali, Garima Samhita. So these are the ancient classical texts, and then you can also study like the Upanishad, so which is like the higher philosophical yogic thoughts, and then Sankhya philosophy. So there are, I cannot say a particular book. So yoga is a very a vast subject.